Hey, Zach Bosley here, Tractor Tuesday, TractorTuesday.com. We've got an amazing 1980 4440. Can't even go in to describe for myself how awesome of a tractor this is. For my little operation, for better or worse, we always had a 1486 sitting around, and we'd see these guys with these 4440s out there. I was always jealous of the cab. It's so much easier to get in and out of. From back in my time growing up, I would have loved if my grandpa would have been sticking with the green tractors in this vintage. But here we've got with Thunder Valley Truck, we've got our good friend here, Chet. Chet, can you tell us a little bit about your tractor? And then, even Machinery Pete was going through the service records and what you did with John Deere and the legacy inspection, and just break it all down. Tell us about this tractor.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, I think probably the best thing to describe, I guess, my mindset probably as much as anything, you know, when those guys at Deere did the legacy inspection, I just told them, I says, if there's something that's questionable, I said, I want it replaced. I don't want to have to bring it back. Time has become probably one of my most misused assets sometimes. Yeah. And so I was very adamant with those guys about, not wanting to have to bring the tractor back. And one of the things that is maybe the best example, I guess, when they did the legacy inspection, they were talking about, I think it was a left bearing in the rear end that was starting to go on it. And I told them, I said, replace it. I says, and if the left side is going, I said, the right side is right behind it. I said, so just tear it all down and do it all. Yeah. They didn't really find anything significant on it. It was just little things. Just a lot of little things that they found on it. One of the biggest things is, I expected them to be more in the know than what I was. I says, you know what, I bought it with 8,143 hours on it. I says, do what you can to confirm that. And things I didn't even think of, like the sway pads on 3-point. I looked at the drawbar, I looked for to see if the hole in the drawbar was elongated and steering and shift linkage, things like that. But they pointed out sway pads and clutch and brake pellet, and I didn't even think to look at that. And they also, pointed out some spots, where you get in and out of the tractor, with more hours than what it was showing, it would have shown more wear. Just on the entry of the cab as well. So some of those things I left, right or wrong, I guess, I don't know. Because I thought it was kind of a telltale of what the tractor actually was. Right or wrong, I don't know.
I can see their logic there. And I mean, sometimes even on, other vintage or collectible types, that natural patina, if you will, makes a lot of sense. But, what I do like is, outside of just all the work that you did, the previous owner has paperwork even on the transmission rebuild. So, and then, with all that being done too, I mean, that's the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, well, we're north of 7,500 hours here. How's the power shift holding up? What's going on with the PTO? The functionality of it. And, I'm in fully mounted country here, and those sway blocks or those pads, that's one of the things a lot of guys in my neck of the woods look at because we use and abuse those 3-points. Right. And I'm assuming somebody gets this type of tractor this nice, if they don't just park this thing, it's definitely capable. I mean, it's just, it could go either way. I mean, you have basically as good as new in theory for an 8,000 hour tractor, but and you see that so often with the John Deere, that green paint can stay a little bit strong, but the yellow in the rim starts to fade. Right. And then you even took care of that too.
Yeah. And when I went to look at it, it was, I've been looking for one to redo for, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years. And everything that I'd run across had, it had led a pretty tough life, I guess. This one here, buddy of mine said unmolested was a really good word to describe it. And
Yeah.
it was. I mean, it was just the most original tractor I'd run across. And the old guy that he was the second owner, the guy I bought it from.
Okay.
And he said, I grew up in town. I'm just a city kid. And he says, this thing's too big for me. And I'm chomping at the bit because I'm just like, holy cow, it sat in he didn't use it hardly at all. He just kept complaining that it was such a big tractor and he was a city kid. And I almost couldn't get the money out of my pocket fast enough for it. I hated that it had to be repainted. But when we were painting the wheels on it, the guy that did that, the wand kind of went across the hood just a little bit. And the paint was in really, really good shape on it. But after about a year where that sandblaster had kind of gone across that hood, it was just starting to show itself. And I'm particular to a fault, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Did you have to replace the decals too, or is that just
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wasn't sure because they looked really crisp and sharp in the images here that I was looking at as we were speaking. Yeah.
We took the whole tractor down to bare metal and started over with it. And I told you a story about having to drive in the cow yard a couple times when that 7420 of mine had problems. And I got a pretty good sized hot power washer.
Okay.
And I was scared to death to hit that thing with power washer for fear of blowing off paint, because and gosh, I didn't blow off any paint. I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, so kudos to him for doing such a good job of prepping it. Cause like I said, we went down to bare metal. The whole thing was bare metal except the roof cap.
Nice.
And just started over. We put a semi paint on it. Semi paint is just a little bit thicker than automotive paint.
Okay.
And we did a base coat, clear coat on it, so I didn't have to wax it because it's waxing something like that takes too much time.
Yeah, understood. Well, and then the big thing is as well as there's obviously no blow by anything going on with the engine because the dyno came through at 176 on the horsepower.
Yeah. I had to take the loader off to so they could get everything for that legacy inspection.
Yeah.
And when I was bringing it home, I just left it in 8th gear and just kind of idled across the intersection without the loader, and got across the intersection. The kid came out of me, I guess, and I stabbed it, and it brought the front end off the ground. But I mean, a small frame with horsepower of a big frame, it
really is. It's a nice setup. And what I like as well, I mean, you got the third function on the joystick. That's great. There really is a lot of capable functionality, but then you also, in a very tasteful way, added some modern features to it. I think having the LED lights, I get it when you've got livestock, you've got a yard, and then in a lot of people's situation, they've got kids running around, having great visibility is a big thing. So that's good. The Bluetooth radio edition, that's a nice touch. You're not getting penalized on a capable collectible for having an 8-track slot.
And I kept all that factory stuff that I took out. The armrests, weren't in real bad shape, but I kept all of that stuff, not knowing, I guess.
Yeah.
The cowl cover for the dash, on them 40 series, it was metal, so I kept that.
Okay.
So the radio, all that stuff, I've got all of the original stuff that I took out.
No, that's great. And it's a lot of times you never know how particular a buyer of a unit of this vintage could be. Yep. So that was really smart to just think ahead, for the next gentleman or gal that buys it. But, really, I mean, it looks good. I mean, outside of everything that's been referenced, is there anything else you'd like to talk about the 4440 here, Chet?
Maybe this is kind of me being me, but there were 2 decals that I couldn't find for it. One on the air cleaner for that rock catcher.
Okay.
I couldn't find the decal for that. And then there was a little round one about the size of a nickel on the oil field cap.
I see.
That I couldn't find either. But other than that, all the other decals have been replaced on it. Other than the bottom of the doors being black, it looks factory.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, it looks better than factory. I mean, it's so clean. It's hard to believe that, someone put this type of investment in a 4440 like this. And it's really what that vintage and that 40 series tractor needed. It's probably the best representation I've ever seen of this vintage of a 40 series tractor. It really looks sharp. It's more than just a restore job. It's, like, again, we call them a capable collectible. You either park this in your museum or, maybe you feed out 500 head of cows with it every day. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do with this rig.
Well, I mean, I'm a farm kid, so when I restored it, I did it in a manner that made it capable, for my operation. But, for the guy that maybe he doesn't want to use it the way I would use it from time to time, maybe it's ready for a museum or a parade or the field, whichever you choose, I guess.
Yeah, that's the best combination to me. I mean, it's again, it's very capable, very tastefully done. A lot of times you'll see a restored tractor, especially this vintage. They might have been able to buy it really rough, really cheap. They do a cheap overhaul on it. I mean, they touch up some of the things, but it wasn't restored with any tact or taste. And I think that is 180 degrees the opposite of what was done here. The Firestones look awesome. You got the rear duals ready to rock.
Yeah.
All the mold marks are still on the tires. I mean, it's as good to go as I've ever seen. And honestly, Chet, we're honored we've got this unit on our next auction because, I'm not exactly sure how you found Tractor Tuesday, but yeah, we're grateful you did, because these are the types of units that we really get excited to promote and really to have on our website, because we try to hold a higher standard at Tractor Tuesday. It's almost 5-1 of every unit that gets submitted to our site, we reject. Because if
really?
Oh yeah. I mean, we get a lot of stuff, and it's just, there's a lot of units that we know what the problems are, because I'm a farm kid too. And it's like, oh God, I remember that when my grandpa had one of those, and oh shoot, it's going to do this or X, Y, and Z. And even on the more modern tractors, oh, I remember that pip came out and, those head gaskets or, something with the O-ring, and then they're getting, there's always those known issues. And if a guy does not want to address it, or at least provide an inspection or maybe an oil sample, if we know it's a known issue, we don't list it at Tractor Tuesday, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
And, and then you can explain to the audience as well, there's a little bit of some confusion, but we do not charge our sellers $1. And I think that's important that people understand that, there was no listing fee for you.
Right.
We didn't have to coerce you with anything. It is what it is. It's an absolute sale. We're going to auction. But most importantly, the seller, and you in this example, you didn't pay $1 to be on Tractor Tuesday. And we do all this promotion for your unit because we want to help everybody out. We've got the best technology in inventory management and in auction software. It's ours. We don't pay licensing fees to some group that probably outsources overseas. We're all here in America, with the exception of 2 of our developers in Germany. So if you're mad at any Nebraskans or some Germans, maybe you're in the wrong business. But we're doing it for the farmers and for the equipment owners, and that's the catch. We're doing our best for you. There is a 5% buyer's premium. I think people understand that. Hopefully this unit maybe sets a record, but that buyer's premium is capped at $7,500. I don't think we'll have to get in that range. Most likely, we're talking about a $2,000 to $3,000 buyer's premium to buy the best 4440 I've ever seen, at least as of the 2020s here. Potentially when I was a little kid, like I said, this is about as good as new. So get a piece of it. Does it still smell like 1980 in there, or what's the cab smell like?
It smells like an old tractor. I mean, just, you remember what them old tractors smell like, I guess.
They usually smell like grandpa and some peanuts. You know, I don't know what it is, but it's something like that. And you know, hopefully,
I mean, it's clean. I mean, you could eat off the floor in that thing. I mean, I guess, I used it in the cow yards, but there's no cow shit in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I think it's for what it is. Again, I think it is the best representation I've ever seen. You know, and we're really excited to put this video. We'll anchor this into the listing as well, and then we'll promote this all over the place. And then
there's just really nothing you can throw rocks at it. I mean, I don't mean to make it sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm just particular to a fault. And you know, I've figured out that if you do something right once, you kind of get hammered. But you never have to do it again. It seems like the cheaper route usually.
You know, for anybody that's been, you know, had the pleasure to work with Thunder Valley in the past, you know, they know your standard. And, you know, even some of those echoes of that even comes all the way down to Adams County, where I'm at here in Nebraska, you know, and you're a known entity, if you will. And I think this is just a great reflection of it, because just like everything, and an old coach said this, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And literally everything you guys do there is always tip top shape. And that's your rep, you know, and it's a great rep that you guys have. And that's what we're striving for, is to be like you and what you guys do. And just everything is going to be excellent. So, you know, hats off to
in
you.
our high school shop, we had a plaque that somebody had made, said, if you don't have time to do it right the first time, when are you going to have time to do it the second time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It always kind of stuck with me, I guess.
Yeah, well, and it's reflected here in this 4440. And again, Chet, we're honored to have it on the site. We really hope that we get some solid activity. If you're thinking about making a bid, I'm telling you, you're never going to find one as good as this, unless John Deere took one off the assembly line and parked it. But still, you know how it is when
our
things
paint looks better.
I bet it does. And knowing what they were doing back in the day. But the truth of it is, if you don't actively use something a little bit, they can deteriorate pretty dang quick. And those mice know how to find the most delicate wire. And I think that's the other good thing. This thing's been used a little bit, enough to keep everything just flowing just in the right way. And again, Chet, probably the best 4440 I've ever seen.
Usually every fall, I got a 23-foot International 496, and usually every fall, I'd take it out and just piddle a little bit with it, you know, run a little bit of fuel through it and keep all the seals.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, lubed up, whatnot.
It's the best way to do it. You got to run things.
It doesn't leak. It doesn't leak. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, no leaks. I mean, top to bottom, you know, down to the bare metal, and then basically the whole dang thing. And I guess if they want to scrutinize it, you couldn't find a half-inch diameter sticker, you know, here or there. You know, good for them for knowing that existed.
Give them something to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, eBay and then 3D printing, and you know, maybe come to the office at Tractor Tuesday. We'll try to replicate it on one of our fancy printers here. But well, hey, Chet, I appreciate your time.